And we're back. This is another episode of The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus with Jack, also known as Bunny with Guns, and I'm just going to get right into it. Now, I do want to say one thing. I did start this run a little bit just to get that audio check or whatever. We're going to be playing Isaac again for a specific reason. So I did get some good advice in the last Isaac video. Somebody commented, and sorry, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, and I don't want to just exit out real quick, but I really appreciate it. And said that I think it would be better if I took a step back and explained the game a little bit more so people understood. I think I assumed that because I've played a lot of this game that it is easy to understand and jump on everything that's going on. But that's definitely not the case. You know, if you really take a step back and think about it, no, not at all. So let's get going. That guy right there I just killed, he is a champion. Champion enemies are harder versions of enemies that, depending on their color, have various effects, strengths, weaknesses, that kind of thing. This guy right here, also a champion. I think he either deflects bullets or is weaker, just in general. I don't know. I don't have all the champions remembered. I just know one when I see him. And yeah, so you got all the stats in the left side of the corner. You also have the items in the top left where you got coins, bombs, and keys. Bombs can blow up rocks, all that kind of stuff. Keys open doors. I might be over-explaining now, but I think I really think that was a good point. I do, after rewatching the video, feel like I went over quite a few things without really getting into detail. So we are back with Isaac. I did unlock a few characters in the last episode, but I do think just starting off with the basic character, since I'm going to be focusing on explaining things a little bit better, is a good idea. So, you got the item room here, and you got what is probably the shop. So, see that guy, he was a champion, but he does seem weaker. I don't know what that guy's gimmick is. Champions, yeah, generally, if an enemy hits you, they do half a heart of damage. Champions do a full heart. That is one thing. This is a tinted rock, which can either give you a spirit heart, which is a form of health, or a golden chest, or occasionally an item, that kind of thing. Yeah, here's our item. Unfortunately, not a very good item. It is, I believe, the glowing, well, in my opinion, you know, these are all my opinions about items. The glowing hourglass, which allows you to kind of turn back time. So if I took damage in a room and I wanted to go back and not take damage, I could do that. In the bottom right, you see I have a pill. Pills have kind of random effects. Think of them as like the syringes in Streets of Rogue. Can be good, can be bad. Luckily, we got range up there. This is a reroll machine, which allows me to reroll the items in the shop. I'm not that concerned with the shop right now. I do want to focus on donating, because donating money in the shop gives you more unlocks and such. This is a mini boss, which is just going to be really fun to fight in this tiny room. Its Lust has a chance of dropping a item, but also normally just drops like nothing. Oh, actually, this is a syringe. So I think the syringe just, when I run into enemies, I deal damage. So I'm really trying to focus on not leaving anything that might confuse people here. Because, yeah, I think I mentioned it in one of my videos that I recorded. This is definitely going to be me mixing my personal audience with a little bit of people who are more interested in the gaming sphere. And yeah, most of my friends don't actually play video games nearly as much as I do. And so I think explaining it is worthwhile. In the last episode, you guys saw that there's a such thing as the devil deals or the angel deals. You can't get those on the first floor. The first floor is just base. You can get them, I think, if you have like a Joker card which teleports you in, but not the case. Just fighting a boss here. This is all kind of basic roguelite video game kind of stuff. I don't think there's any reason to teleport out. You know, I mean, even that's just half heart of damage, which isn't that big of a deal. This guy is good at giving an overwhelming amount of flies, but really he's one of the easier bosses on the first floor. And yeah, if I was a little bit more focused, maybe a little bit more brushed up on my skill, I could have beaten that guy without taking damage. So as you can see in the bottom right, it just said plus 99% chance to devil deal. As long as I don't take any red heart damage in the top left, that'll stay at 100. So there is a chance that I can have a guaranteed shot at getting the devil deal on this floor. And the way to like incubate that best is to get some spirit hearts or some black hearts that make it so red heart damage is less likely, or if you get a bunch, even impossible. So this is another mini boss. These honestly are feeling more common than usual, but just gonna deal with this guy pretty quickly. He's not that big of a deal. I kind of wish I could get those hearts, but you'd have to be able to fly in order to get over across the big gaps. I still think that there's definitely going to be some stuff that I might just forget about, slide over a little bit. So if you do have any questions, feel free to comment them. I'm sure I or maybe another viewer can kind of help you guys out. Another spacebar item that I'm not, I think I like pause better personally. It is essentially, it will pause all the enemies in the room as long as you don't shoot. So it's kind of just a way to get out of a tough spot and prevent yourself from taking damage if you're in a sticky situation. So these guys shouldn't be that too bad. I kind of want to, no, he's not going to come over. Below there you got the curse room, which you have to normally expend HP in order to get into. Good damage, wow. Oh man, I've been taking some dun damage. You know, oh, I don't have that revert time thing. So that's going to take you down to a 36% chance of getting to deal with the devil, which is a bummer. I'm just going to pause, get past that guy. These poison guys have always given me a hard time personally. I don't know about you guys, but oh my god. If I die on my second run on this save file, I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself. There you go. Jeez. Just gonna kind of keep it so he's trapped in there, so I have him, or not trapped, but so he has to go through the one direction I want him to. A lot of this game is about crowd control, so enemies like this that split up a little bit kind of make that a little tough, but it's not that hard to handle. These are, yeah, literally poops, as you can see, because they look like the apple emoji. They can give you money, they can give you hearts, that kind of stuff, so they're worth shooting if you're in a tough spot looking for some HP or something like that. Okay, now I want him to get out of there because it's kind of hard to angle these shots, but there you go. I am going to shoot these just so we can get a little bit more health potentially before going into the fight. I also think it'll be a good idea to stop back at our shop over here and just see if I can get some hearts potentially. No, but I will throw some money into the donation machine here. See, so that at random intervals, not random, but like 50, that kind of stuff, you'll unlock different items. So we want to get that up to 999, so we'll have all the items unlocked. Yeah, I mean, the big thing about roguelites, I think, in general, is you want to unlock stuff as fast as possible, because it really just makes the game more fun. I think roguelites is a genre. If that guy would have hit me, I would have died, by the way, if you remember that I said those guys do a full heart. The fun about roguelite is just how like varied each run can be, or at least that's my opinion. I like a lot of the style in them, but really it's the idea that pretty much any room you can go into can just completely change your run for the better or for the worse is really fun, high stakes, and interesting. So let's move forward. I do think that a theme here is that when we get into tough HP, I'm talking about the channel as a whole, by the way. When we get into tough spots with HP, I'm probably gonna focus a little bit more on talking about the gameplay than if I were kind of careening towards victory. That's something you'll probably notice if you watch the Dicey Dungeons video. I actually recorded that just before this because I'm trying to get a little bit ahead on the videos, because consistency is key, and I just want to make sure that there's a video up every day. So people, if you're looking for something to do during quarantine or just during summer in general, because I know personally that's something I've noticed, that once you go to college or whatever you decide to do after school, if you do have to like go back home and return to your hometown, you realize that life's super different. And for me personally, there's just not nearly as much to do when I'm back home. That's not a slight against my family or anything like that. It's just, especially when you live on a college campus, there's pretty much always something to do and to kind of keep you dialed in. Alright, so this is going to be a bit of a contentious play here. I think I'm going to pop this Joker card off the rip. So, like I said earlier, the Joker card allows you to get into the double deal, and I think that the opportunity to expend some health for some extra damage is going to be useful, especially because if you can see on the map, up in the top right, our boss fight is on a smaller room than normal, and if we get a big boss on that small boss fight, it's going to be very, very hard for me not to take a full heart of damage. So let's go ahead and pop this Joker card. I think I'm just going to take the extra damage, and if I can get the Guppy Tail after the fight, then maybe we'll go for that. Guppy's Tail, it gives you a greater chance of like picking up or of golden chest spawning, and it also allows you to facilitate the Guppy transformation that I kind of mentioned in the last video. There are many transformations, like I have a syringe in this run. If you get 3 syringes, you get the... Man, it's been so long since I played this game, I can't remember what that transformation's called. But it just gives you a damage upgrade. Is it Spun? Spun sounds right. Okay, so luckily we got Monstro. He's a bigger boss, but he's predictable enough that I can almost get hit. That's how predictable he is. And Marked is an item that just gives you extra damage and a Spirit Heart. There might be more there, but that's just the effects I'm remembering off the top of my head. So we did end up beating Monstro without taking any damage. Mom's Underwear, weird item and a pretty weak range upgrade that I don't really care that much for. And we ended up getting the double deal anyways. So we got the Guppy's Tail. A little low on health right now, but I do think we're going to be fine. Eve. If only I remember what I did to unlock you, Eve. But I do not. We got the Curse of the Labyrinth. I mentioned it in the last video, but curses are just various modifiers that can randomly affect you throughout the course of the run. So normally on a run you would go through Caves 1 and then you would go through Caves 2. In this instance, we're only going to see Caves XL, which combines the floors, gives you one huge floor where you have to fight the 2 bosses in a gauntlet, like back-to-back style format. Alright, I'm just going to keep going here. And as we gain some more Spirit Hearts, get a little bit more of a safety net there, I'm going to be able to focus a little bit less on grinding out every last detail and over-explaining it to an extent. Guppy's Tail probably gave us this extra chest here, which I appreciate. And this is a mob trap room, which you it gives you a item or a chest or something like that, and you can trigger it, pick it up for the chance, and you'll have to just fight through some enemies here. I honestly did not even see what bullet hit me, but that's cool. So we got the coin tiers, like I think we had it, no, I don't think we had it on the last one. I think I might have had it on a trial run or something like that. But basically it makes it so when you shoot enemies, you have a chance of picking up, or of them like generating coins, which is going to be pretty good because I still think we can donate to the donation machine and unlock more items. Just going to run right through there. Yeah, so really the idea that I've been kind of bored being back home is what spawned this channel in the first place, so I appreciate it in that sense. But on college, you just like, I don't know, it definitely is the RA in me coming out and saying this, but no matter what you do, no matter what you like, there's always something for you to go out and get involved in. Personally, I think also, does Guppy Tail also make it so that you drop more stuff, or was that just a good chest? Because I know like there are items that make it so chests drop more stuff. These guys just understand the way I move. I don't know. I've always had struggles dodging these guys. I don't know what, but yeah. Personally, I did get quite more involved on campus than I would have ever expected. Because in high school, you know, I really was not the type of guy to go out of my way to do stuff, and but I think that even spawned from the relationship I had with school kind of my junior year, which was pretty antagonistic. So I think I've mentioned it in some other videos, but the current plan for me right now is to eventually become a high school teacher. And if I told that, which I mean I have, if I telling that to my junior high teachers, probably would give them either an aneurysm or make them burst into an uncontrollable fit of laughter, because I was definitely a devil student. There are many stories, and maybe even horror stories, some might call them, that my family members hold over my head and remind me of the terrible things I did to torture my teachers, and just get into awkward situations in lower grades. For example, I once told my math teacher that, I don't know what exactly I was quoting when I said it, but I feel like it was a quote. He was kind of getting mad at me, probably for not doing my homework, because that's just something I didn't do. And I said, "You're up here, I need you down here," and I kind of gestured like I had my hand kind of at the top of my head, and then I moved it down to insinuate that I wanted him to cool off in a way that was extremely disrespectful to somebody who was expending their time in order to make sure that I was going to be a functioning member of society. Yeah, if you know where that quote comes from, go ahead and let me know, because I know that my 7th grade self was not original enough to come up with a diss that was so evil and also just so stupid to say to a respectable adult. Yeah, there was a time that my sister recently reminded me of that my 7th grade Spanish teacher, she had this thing, which I still kind of think is a little ice cold, but basically her whole gimmick was that if you didn't put your name on your paper, so whenever we all turned in our papers, she would go through in front of the entire class and flip through them, and any paper that did not have a name on it, she would just instantly throw it in the trash. And, at this point, I was sitting kind of close to the trash. I was like right up front and personal. I think she did that because she wanted to keep an eye on me and stop me from talking. And so she was flipping through all the papers and she threw one into the trash. And I looked and I saw clear as day my horrible, horrible handwriting. And instead of accepting that I was well aware of the consequences and her kind of policy towards not having your name on stuff, I decided to say, "Are you gonna get that?" And surprisingly, I didn't burst into flames, for saying something so outwardly disrespectful and bold. Instead, I burst into the hallway and spent the rest of the classroom sitting there and thinking about what I did wrong. And, what are you going to do? Besides probably pay some penance for it when I become a teacher and get dealt the tough kids. The ones who, as I did, have absolutely no respect for authority. Yeah, but I think at that point, and continuing a little bit into high school, I kind of really didn't understand what the point of school was. I was a kid who, for whatever reason, believed that they already knew everything. And luckily, I ended up getting involved in meeting some teachers who kind of made me understand that there is a lot of value to school. And yeah, of course, you're not going to remember every last detail of how to write a proof or how to solve a trigonometric equation. It's kind of the principle that you're there for, the reading skills, the respect, learning how to respect adults. All right. Oh, if I would have touched that a second sooner. That's something I didn't. I thought the guy might blow up, but I guess maybe since he was in midair, he didn't. These bomb rooms are not fun. Yeah, so I'm not like trying to pitch school to you if you happen to be like a 12-year-old who is equally disinterested in everything that's going on, but there are some positives to it for sure. Enough positives that I've decided to devote the vast majority of my life to teaching. We'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it, But yeah, luckily after college, and I mean throughout high school, I was kind of inspired by some good teachers, some good friends to kind of put myself out there more, and kind of maximize your time, because no matter what, you're going to be in school anyways, so why would you not kind of find what aspects of school, finally a spacebar item that I actually like, so you can maximize and try to find out what aspects of school interest you and kind of you're passionate about. And so that's kind of evolved into me getting a lot more involved in college. Here's a secret room. Oh, yeah, so the crystal ball item I got, it drops I think it's kind of a random item, but most of the time in my experience it's a spirit heart, which is or soul heart, whatever. Yeah, so, and then once I got into college, I decided to run for for an organization that kind of made the almost legislation for residence halls for like dorms. If my fellow residence hall people have heard me say that, they'd probably kick my door down and teach me a thing or two about having respect for the rooms that you live in on school grounds. All right. Again, you can see my long love-hate relationship with the bone guys. Yeah, so I ran and got involved in that. Something that I'm not like, obviously, I'm not really passionate, I would say, about residence hall life. I mean, I kind of am. I do think it's kind of a fun experience. Teaches you how to live on your own while still having the like bowling bumper rails to kind of teach you how to still be a good human being. And I don't know. I think it's interesting. And I also, just other stuff, there really is everything, you know, like there was so I started going to college around the time, like the end of my first semester was around the time when Super Smash Bros. Ultimate released. No thank you. There's one of my least favorite items in the game. It's marked. It gives you a pretty significant rate of fire increase, but it makes it so your tiers are focused on a point. It's hard to explain. I'll end up picking it up eventually, but not on this run. Not when I'm in a bit of a touchy situation anyways. Yeah, so me and my cousin joined the Super Smash Bros. Club, and it's really funny because although it was like a kind of a casual club, and you know, pretty much anybody could come and join. You really got the full esports kind of vibe there, you know. I don't want to stereotype, but you know, a lot of the people could have used with I don't know, a stick of, or could have done well with a stick of deodorants. You know, I mean, I'm a gamer myself, so I don't want to stereotype, like I said, too much, but you know, it's not that hard to take a shower every once in a while. I mean, it's not everybody, but it was still a lot of fun, and I don't know. Pretty much every time I'd go in there, it was like a bracket-style tournament. I'd go in, get absolutely stomped, and then watch the rest of the time. I'm just going to use this sun card for a little bit of crowd control. I think most people would probably frown upon that a little bit, but you know, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Yeah, so that club was a lot of fun. We were basically in college at the perfect time, where we were able to kind of experience the game with some other people, and it was really cool. Other than that, I honestly really haven't had a lot of time to get involved with clubs. Most of it is like just going to events on campus. You know, you got various parties. So I think I mentioned it in the Dicey Dungeons episode, but one of my, literally my favorite show of all time is Community, from Dan Harmon. I probably mentioned it before that, honestly, because it's all I talk about nowadays. I took a little bit more damage than necessary there. Not Kane. I think that's having over 55 coins. And we're just gonna... Okay, no, we should at least take some time to go back to the shop. Yeah, and a running gimmick in Community, if you guys haven't seen it. Community is about like a community college. And it satires it a little bit, but also gives a good idea of what the experience is like. And one running gimmick of the show is that they just have a ton of dances. You know, way more dances than you would think is reasonable. But my school really didn't have that many dances. I think it had maybe like one, unless you count like the dances. I'm just going to use a bomb for convenience sake here. Unless you count the dances that were hosted by frats and sororities. There weren't many dances, but the amount of times... I'm just going to pick this up. Joker's really good. Actually, I'll go ahead and pop that now because we didn't get our devil deal. So I think you go this one first. This, I think we got it on the last round, but it doubles the drops. So like if 1 penny is going to be a stack of 2 pennies. And then this is 9 lives, which is another guppy item, and gives you literally 9 extra lives, which seems crazy because it is. Yeah, we didn't have as many dances, but just the amount of random parties and events, and especially like residence hall specific events that were hosted, really lined up with the amount of extraneous parties that were hosted by the dean and community. So you really have all sorts of stuff to do. And then once I became an RA the next year, I kind of got to dip my toe into what it's like to be the one planning those parties, which, you know, I didn't become an RA because I am good at being creative. You know, I think a stereotype, I mean, I don't even know if I can say stereotype, an expectation really of RAs is to kind of decorate the floor a little bit, you know. You got the bulletin board, which I thought was not necessarily going to be true. Yeah, you got to do that, you know. And it's a bummer because I did get the job for more of interpersonal related skills, and instead I ended up, holy crap, I would love another golden key on this floor. I'm gonna blow this up. This allows you to change like the appearance of your character, but I'm not really too interested in that. Oh, this is gonna be just delightful. 48-hour energy gives you a bunch of these batteries, and so I get to just pop this over and over again. Oh, that was just such a great job. And 2 of hearts doubles the amount of red hearts you have, so it's pretty much like it's hard to explain. It's useless for what we have now, basically. The Emperor teleports you to the boss, which is going to be Potentially useful if we get into a tricky subject or situation and I want to get out of a room. So another champion. Gosh, I was too busy looking at the champion and didn't notice the real threat, the fly that takes 1 to 2 shots to kill. Yeah, so really planning events, not my forte. Designing bulletin boards, I don't want to say, see, that's the thing. I think people think it's a bad thing when you say you did the bare minimum. And I think generally it is. But when it comes to me trying to, holy crap, come on, chill out there. All right, nobody speak to me for the next 10 seconds of this room. When it comes, you have a lot of responsibilities as an RA. And when it comes to kind of, you have to decide what you're going to spend your time doing. And would I rather help a student kind of find their place in the world, or would I rather make a Rick and Morty themed bulletin board that would isolate me from the normal people on my floor and endear me to all the mega nerds? I mean that in a predominantly joking manner. So yeah, I would do the bare minimum in terms of setting up a bulletin board, and I'm proud of it, you know? I stand by that. Cutting corners isn't always bad. That's the kind of lessons I want to teach on my channel, you know? There's a difference between cutting corners and saving time. Alright, 100% of my IQ is currently being used to not take damage in this room, where these bone lords don't only shoot bones, they also tend to explode. Alright, taking these guys out one by one. You know, the unfortunate thing, we've had a ton of money throughout this run, but keys have been sparse, to say the least. Oh god, that is just the world's greatest pickup for me right now. So, these guys are so cute. Disturbing, because, I mean, if you think too much about what they are, which honestly, what are they? They're called blastocysts, which is probably just disgusting. If only you were something... I guess I'm going to fight every single mini-boss throughout this run. There's only like 4 more, I think. Are there more than just the 7 deadly sins? Gosh. I tell you guys I play this game a lot and then just forget the basic stuff. Some of these dodges are god tier, and some of them I run into bullets as if I'm trying to collect them like Pac-Man. There we go. At least we got an item out of it. One thing that's always bummed me out about Isaac, and I think it is just part of the gimmick. It's a feature, not a flaw, as much as that's a meme. I wish it had some sort of teleportation system like Streets of Rogue. So that is the tractor beam. It makes all your bullets shoot directly straight instead of like curving like they do. I don't really like that much. It also gives you a rate of fire upgrade, but that's not that great. That just, if you take damage, you leave blood that does damage behind you. Also not good. Gives you spirit hearts, but other side effects that I'm not too fond of explaining right now. That you shoot people, you regen health. That doesn't really matter for us because we're running mainly on spirit hearts. Extra luck. I'm gonna pick this up just so I don't see it later, but that just regens HP. Also doesn't matter because spirit heart's kind of the core of the run here. Broke it, and this is Stompy, aka Leo, and it does that, which is bad about 49% of the time, I would say personally, from experience. Okay. It's gonna be hard to dodge this, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna not come back. Ever. Never ever going back in that room. So I think I was talking about just leave that there. Oh, okay, that's useful for this at least. Get some more spirit hearts. Yeah. Yeah, just event planning. Not really my forte. Okay. Just gonna start this. Shouldn't be too bad. Alright, if you're wondering why I went quiet, it's because it took, again, all of my brain power to make it out of that. I think a big problem is that I record these videos so freaking late, and I don't know why. I sit here like all day watching reruns of Community and falling in love with Scrubs. Just being like, you know what would be fun right now? To record a video. And I just do that for like 10 hours. And then I'm like, alright, it's 11 p.m. Time to eat lunch and finally get around to recording these videos that are going up tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow afternoon, I guess. Tammy's head. This does this, which is pretty good a lot of the time, but I think the HP here is kind of what we really need. So this Guppy's tail, along with the Guppy's tail along with the golden key that we got, is just absolutely perfect. We are looking for one more Guppy item, which can be Guppy's head. Mr. Me. That is a Rick and Morty reference. Mr. Meeseeks. Can be Guppy's head and Guppy's collar, I think, are the other two. We can get those through. We can get Guppy's head through golden chests, which is hopefully gonna happen soon because we are getting a bunch of those. Or we can get both from. Yeah, sometimes if you step on the skulls, they turn into those guys. Oh gosh, if they get flattened, they take a minute to get back up. You can get either of them from this, which didn't happen unfortunately. 48-hour energy, very good. Is pretty much what's been keeping me alive. The world doesn't really mean a whole lot here. And then Emperor. This like this chest looks a little bit different. That's because if you hit it, you'll take damage. And there's not really anything I need out of a regular chest enough to pick it up. Okay. So I have been thinking. A lot of people have been suggesting roguelites for me to play, which I absolutely love. I think even in the description of the channel I said that this is a roguelite focus channel for the time being. But I think that's just for getting started. I am just totally willing to play pretty much whatever game. So if you guys happen to see something that you think is interesting, potentially fun, I know you guys, I guess, besides roguelites, you don't really know what kind of games I'm into. Honestly, I'll be willing to play pretty much anything, at least for like one video. I think it's, oh god, this is unfortunate. Resisting the urge to pop the Emperor card that I've been holding for this whole run. Just gonna fight these guys off. Yeah, so if you have any games you want me to play, just let me know. I am looking into getting a capture card, so I do have Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. So whatever you guys, if there's a game that is only on console, I don't feel like you have to leave that out as a recommendation because I can end up playing that too. Gosh, I would love to spend all this money I have, or at least donate it. This is gonna be a long one. I probably should be stepping on more of these skulls because yeah, they do sometimes spawn enemies. They also can give you cards or black hearts. Okay, taking all them out. So let's go ahead and step on them. Don't want to get hit. Alright. Didn't get as lucky there as I wanted, but it's fine. Gonna keep on moving. I don't know. Yeah, I have been playing, I played a little bit of Tomb Raider the other day, and I kind of been holding off because I am thinking about streaming that game. Okay. Yeah, those enemies, they will, if they hit you, they'll pick you up and take you to another room, which is always just super fun. Yeah, I've been thinking about playing Tomb Raider. The thing is like, I'd be playing that live on Twitch. That would be the first Twitch game I'm thinking about. The thing is it is the second game in a franchise. I don't think you have to have played the first one to really understand the gimmick of Tomb Raider. You know that Lara Croft is just the ultimate female icon badass who's going around. I think that might have been the first swear word on the channel. Sorry for everybody who had to withstand that. How dare I? Yeah, she is, yeah, she just goes around looking for various relics, artifacts, all while fighting bad dudes. It's a really fun game. I'm only like, I want to say I'm like an hour max into this game, and I mean, really, it would take me like 5 minutes of two diamonds doubles the amount of coins you have, but obviously pretty much useless in this current situation. Yeah, it would take me like 10 minutes to get you caught up to where I am in the game. I don't want to do it just in case I end up starting it from the beginning, but we'll see. I don't know. There are plenty of other games I could stream too. I have been, another game that I started playing around the time I started playing Dicey Dungeons, and then I kind of got really busy with school last semester, was Disco Elysium. That one, didn't I win like Game of the Year last year? Very, very, very good game. A lot of fun, very interesting, stylized, and a ton of fun. I will almost certainly end up beating it eventually. I didn't get to play that much, only around like the first like hour or so of that as well. And I was thinking about adding that to the channel too. The only thing with that one is it's a lot of reading, which can be kind of a slog, I feel like, in terms of a YouTube channel. But then again, it is, I mean, it's a super engaging game. You know, reading isn't really my cup of tea normally. You know, I am pretty big into comic books. But then again, those are at least 50 to like 70% picture book. Not that I'm downplaying it at all. I think it honestly takes just as much skill as writing a regular book. And yeah, but Disco Elysium, if you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know. If anything, go and play it for yourself, because I've only played a little bit of it, but I have heard enough reviews to know that it is obviously worth the time. This is added damage. Yes, please. This is flight. Also, yes, please. We also got the first transformation of the series, Leviathan, which is 3 of these kind of like red, like devil deal items, turns you into the Leviathan, which is flight and spectral tears, if I believe. Like I said, I've played a lot of this game, but there are definitely people who know more about it than I do, who, if you want to clear up anything that I've been saying, feel free. I do think it'll help out if the community kind of works together to correct or expand on the things I say. Because, you know, I'm kind of just sitting in a room talking to myself, so if I end up saying something that's not entirely true just to fill the air, you know, I'll feel a little bad, but nothing's in ill will at all. Alright. Finally have a way to really add some maneuverability to this run so that I don't have to take 10 hearts of damage to every single bone man I see. These guys, you gotta shoot them in the back of the head in order to deal damage. They're exposed brain. I'm just picking up these coins for potential luck upgrades, I guess, which is a possibility. You know, this is not exactly as enticing or engaging of a run as the last one, where I off the rip got the best item in the entire game. But, you know, they can't all be winners, although hopefully they both are. This one, we are going to be entering, since we did beat Mom in the last fight, we're going to be entering a new stage of the game, which is called the Womb, which is always just interesting. It's a very, very weird segment of the run. Has some pretty tough bosses, and you'll see that the final boss on the Womb is another version of Mom. So, Isaac obviously has some mommy issues. It's kind of the central conceit of the whole game. Also, my guy has some daddy issues too that have been hinted at. You know, it's tough, man. It happens to the best of us sometimes. High Priestess is, honestly, just the fact that I have the question mark, the Curse of the Lost, I think I'm just gonna ditch that item because, you know, I don't really want to backtrack too much. There's a chance it says Guppy. Cross your fingers. Okay, alright, Guppy it is. So everything I said about this run being tough has been completely thrown to the wayside because Guppy is absolutely incredibly good. I did have to expend a lot of my HP in order to get it, but then we still have 9 lives, so honestly, there's pretty much no world in which that's not worth it. I'm not going to die to that thing though. Yeah, so if we lose a couple lives while we're rebuilding the HP here, that's not that big of a deal. The reason that Guppy is really good is because the transformation just really generates a ton of flies, which is just such a great way to deal damage, and is really gonna be a great way to kind of make up for the fact that this run hasn't really popped off quite yet. And so we're just gonna continue in here. I think I'm just gonna hit this pretty hard because he has the potential to drop some HP. It's not gonna be the most engaging section of the video, but you know, hope everybody's doing good out there. So yeah, earlier today, something I do want to address in question. I brought this up to my friends before. I'm also gonna just kind of go off on this guy. So just personally, I am a fan of going on walks. You know, I'm a big podcast guy, I do have my own podcast, Shmeepcast. Look it up if you are interested. Shmeepcast. A little bit of a plug, but also just listening to podcasts in general. I find that fun. Also, just big music guy. I sometimes just go on walks, listen to music, and so I walk around it just with my headphones in a lot. And I live in a town where pretty much everybody knows each other, you know. I mean, it's not a small town, but it's still a very connected community. And so I don't know if this is a part of it, but I'll just be walking on the side of the street, you know, and then some weird ape men will just decide to lean out the side of their truck, yell at me, and honk their horn, go all sorts of crazy, and scare me, you know. And it's just so weird. Okay, so I do know there are people who I like personally know who will see me out like walking on the road and they'll just like honk at me kind of to get my attention. I honestly, I don't know why they think that will ever work. They're driving like 70 miles an hour, honk the horn, and just assume that I like can pick up the fact that it's them. But that's at least endearing. These people are doing it with a clearly toxic intent. And oh, poor guy. I was willing to really bank some money into him. And it's just confusing to me. I got some potential reasons that it could happen. One, maybe I just look like a very easy to get target that Chads just feel like making my day a little bit, I don't know if I'd even say worse, you know. It does startle me a lot of the time because it is just like a loud noise directly behind you coming out of a speeding vehicle, you know. A lot of the time is a stressful situation. Other reasons, you know, I think a common one is just intoxication, which is concerning coming from the idea that it is people in a car coming after me. I mean, either way, you know, I don't think these are the type of guys who are going home, hugging their family members. You know, I mean, I guess that's a little presumptuous. I'm just saying that based on the limited information I have, they just don't seem like good people. You know, I guess I'm a little biased, but I never really understood that. I mean, honestly, I'm saying that, but also I do think it's funny. You know, the image in my own head. I'm gonna do this for extra damage. The other item there was another respawn with 9 lives. You know, are you really gonna make me fight every single guy? I think this does mean is 2 Steam sales half off of half off or 100% off? It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Yeah, I honestly, I wanna shame him because it is a bit of a jerk thing to do, but honestly, it's a little funny just seeing a random person jump, you know? It's not the kind of funny where you're proud of yourself, it's kind of funny where you're like, oh, why'd we do that? But, you know, it's all fun and games until I have a heart attack on the side of the street. That probably won't happen. But, you know, that happens quite a bit. I feel like a lot of my stories kind of come from the woes of transportation without a car, which, you know, might be telling me something, but I'm going to choose to ignore it. People who know me know that I am I think avid bike rider is laying it on a little thick, if I'm being honest, because I do have a bike and I do like ride it around to get from place to place, but I don't like necessarily do it just for fun. Like I'll do it literally for objective like speed in terms of getting places faster. Oh, press the wrong button there. Depths 2. I have gotten the item room, so I'm just gonna, and we fought the super great. So yeah, I mean, avid bike rider is a bit of a stretch. I'm not like going on mile bike rides every day just to break a sweat. Yeah, more objective A to B transportation. But, you know, still, I do ride my bike quite a bit, especially on campus, because, you know, getting from class to class, going out to get something to eat, meeting up with friends. You know, the times that I have, dude, are we gonna get 3 transformations on this run? We did unlock a little baggie, another item that I don't love, but, you know, whatever. Growth hormones gives a little bit of extra speed and damage, which is always welcome. Yeah, I have plenty of stories. How long has this been there? I do have plenty of stories of instances where my bike riding has almost cost the life of myself or others. Again, laying it on a little thick. The best one, okay, so a lot of it comes with general bike trouble, because the bikes that I've used are not necessarily your like $1,000 performance bike that's being advertised by Lance Armstrong during the Tour de Pharmacy. Sorry, I couldn't think of the real thing, so instead I referenced the Andy Samberg mockumentary.
A fortune.
Yeah, these are some Walmart bikes for sure. So one day, basically, to get to the building that I lived in, the fall of my sophomore year, you had to cross this pretty daunting bypass, if I'm being honest with you. It was just known for being dangerous, you know. It is, I don't know if it's the farthest building on campus, but just the fact that it has this huge bypass, like bisecting it from the rest of the campus, made it the farthest. You had to wait really long to get across the light. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop all of these because this is just sweet. I am pretty much just saving the Emperor, so on the next floor I can teleport right to the final boss. And go ahead and fight her. Yeah, so I was crossing the street to get to the building, and I'm literally in the middle of this highway, as if I were the third act of Dumb and Dumber, the new introduction, Dumbest, doing some kind of improv like slap comedy bit. My handlebars literally ripped off my bike and like fell off to the side a little bit and were hanging there, and I was like literally in the middle of this intersection with a ton of cars. And so I basically had to grab like the pipe that connected the handlebars to the rest of the bike and steer it just by holding it. Honestly not sure what the damage would be there. Maybe I stepped on like one of the rocks that exploded in the bullets. And yeah, I had to steer it just using like a pipe and kind of coast across the road. And it was extremely precarious. But I did end up making it across. It was probably a bit of a funny show for all the people sitting there waiting to cross. Now, I was very confused about what happened. Okay, I'm just going to take all the damage possible in that one room. Oh, this is so good. This doubles your damage, I believe. Maybe 1.8 or something. I don't want to do the math. 1.5, actually, I think sounds right. Yeah, so I crossed the street, and I made it there alive. I ended up having to go back across and find a missing screw that kind of popped off on the other end of the street towards the like light. And luckily I found that, even though it was super small. I got really lucky and was able to reconnect it to the bike. Go Ahead gives you a guaranteed double deal chance, which is pretty good. And Bob's Rotten Head is you can throw a bomb, but it's kind of just not that good. Does potentially lead to another transformation. I think you can turn into Bob. Yeah, but that is not the only time that I almost died at that intersection on that bike, because probably a couple weeks later, I was crossing that same intersection, and this time, I was going to like it was like a handbrake on the handlebars, and I was crossing the street, and I went to like slow down the bike a little bit because I was coming in a little hot, and when I applied it, it like did the same thing, ripped the handlebars clean off. Luckily this time I was like right at the sidewalk, because handlebar got ripped clean off, and literally I pulled on the handlebar so hard that it launched me over the front of the bike, and I kind of landed in the, oh, why did I pop the tower? It just dropped so much bombs. I landed in the probably a little less graceful in reality, but in my head it was perfect. I landed in the full Deadpool style superhero landing, which was either way more silly in practice or it looked glorious to the people in the car. I choose to believe the former. Okay, this guy just shoots little tears, honestly not that good, but I'm going to take him because even since, as you can see, this is 2 hearts, I only have 1 red heart, I can still like afford it, if you know what I mean. It doesn't like stop me just because I don't have enough right HP. Yeah, so I landed, and of course, since I was launched over the bike, and this is a 2-wheel vehicle that was still had momentum, I got hit in the back with my own bike, which didn't hurt. It was more than anything a little just embarrassing and shameful. But again, picked up the bike parts, walked it back up to the top of the hill, and yeah, so that was two instances where I nearly died at that intersection. And since then, I have handled it a little bit more carefully. And, oh, well, I mean, it hasn't really been that big of a problem because that bike was stolen anyways to continue the streak of excellent bike luck. It was stolen from beneath my nose somehow. Um, and, yeah, so, but that wasn't before the bike got stolen, I also, this was the greatest injury I received on this bike, but also, I saved a child's life, or at least I choose to believe I saved a child's life, because I was riding in front of one of the other residence halls, and in front of this hall there's like this huge half wall that kind of blocks a garden. And by half wall, I mean probably 75% wall, because it's tall. It's a decent height. And I was riding past that, and it is definitely tall enough to shield the image of a incoming child. So yeah, I was just riding, listening to music, not really paying full attention, and right as the wall ends and it kind of leads. Look at all these items. A little bit of a catch up here. We got the green brain again, which explodes. Infamy, the mask. It gives you like a percentage chance to not take damage. Milk, if you take damage, it increases your rate of fire and drops a little puddle that does damage. And then Blood of the Martyr is extra damage. I'm just making sure you guys know what's going on there. Yeah, so as we're getting towards the end of this wall, I just barely, out of the corner of the eye, or out of my eye, see the like top of somebody's head, like peek over the top of this wall. And a little bit of reference here. You got I'm riding on the bike. To my left, you got this full-on brick wall. To my right, completely open, busy road. So no good options here. But I realized that this kid's gonna come around the corner at the exact same time that I'm going to like cross paths with him, and he has no idea I'm coming. Clearly not paying attention at all. So I have to make a decision. Potentially paralyze this child. That's not one that you're ever gonna be on Santa's nice list for. You know, that's a bad look pretty much exclusively. I'm gonna pop this stun card for some added damage and try not to die here. I also could just crash right into the brick wall, which is guaranteed pain. You know, without a doubt, that one's just not going to feel good. So here, if we go into this chest, it will end the run, and we'll be done with the video. But I think if I go in here, I will get to fight Satan, and why would I not do that, since I'm in the middle of a story anyways? So yeah, brick wall, damage to me, the option. Or you could crash into a child and become a supervillain. Or I could careen into the busy street. Now, this isn't necessarily guaranteed pain, but the amount of pain. Okay, so side note, sometimes when you step on rocks, you get these little crawl spaces, which can either be a random item or absolutely nothing like this is, or sometimes it takes you to a black market, which would mean like you'd go up here and then to your right it would open like to another room, and you can just expend more HP to buy items. But unfortunately, we didn't get that lucky. So yeah, or I could just careen into oncoming traffic and kind of take. I basically stared that dude right in the eyes, asked for him to deal some damage to me. Ooh, that's black card. Oh, I did not realize this was a damage room. All right, good chance we're gonna die here. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, because we do have like 2 more bosses I think to fight after this. And so I did end up making what I personally think is the best decision, and just slamming into the brick wall at top speed. You know, I think it was smart. Was the child grateful? It's a child. What do you think? No. He looked at me as if I was an idiot who crashes into walls for fun, and kind of was just like, what the heck, dude? And I'm like, yeah, what the heck, dude? And this is going to be useful. I'm really going to need to start building up some HP if I'm going to want to fight this devil on good terms. Yeah, but you know, I think I do think I ended up like spraining my wrist, scraping up basically every exposed area of skin besides my face, and just absolutely destroying my screen protector on my phone. Which is funny because prior to this, like literally like a day, maybe like a little under a week before, I had finally gotten to AT&T and replaced my screen protector, which had been broken forever. And then, of course, just as if on cue, decided to crash into a wall and destroy all this goodwill. This book here. Okay, wait. If I pick this up, I think I might get another transformation, honestly. Nope. If you get 3 books, you get the bookworm transformation, which is I'll explain later if we end up getting that. So if you have flight, you don't take damage going in to these rooms at first, but you still do on the way out. So I'm going to use the book here because that book gives you a period of invincibility, and then we're just gonna go back. That other book is how to jump. It literally just lets you jump forward, which isn't really useful for me right now because I have flight. Yeah, so I'd finally gotten that new phone protector, or screen protector, and I mean, at least I put it to use, right? But it was just ironic because I'd literally been sitting on the broken screen protector for like over a year, and like I broke it a year ago. Hadn't really dropped my phone since, hadn't done any more damage, and then as soon as I get a new one, you know, I mean, what do you expect? Yeah, so that kid wasn't very grateful. But as you can see, I'm just not built for for transporting myself in various situations, you know? People tell me, hey Jack, you should probably start driving because every time you ride your bike, you nearly die. And to that I respond, well then imagine what I'd do on a car. I'm only half joking. I'm only 75% joking, I think. Yeah, I'm not that worried about it, you know. And honestly, am I the unluckiest bike rider ever, or am I the luckiest bike rider ever? Because I've done all this crazy stuff and I've never died. You think about it that way, you know. My bike literally dismantled itself in the middle of a intersection twice, and I made it out with minimal injuries. You know, you tell me who's the bad bike rider now. So Conehead kind of does the same thing as Mask of Infamy. I think it gives you a Spirit Heart. Could be wrong there, but it also makes it gives you a chance that you don't take damage. Honestly, I could be giving you wrong information here, because I don't perfectly remember every last item of this game, because there are like hundreds. Yeah. Also, I've had 2 bikes, and both of them have been stolen. And I actually ended up finding one of them towards the end of the year last year. Or I guess the police did. But, and I also think I found the other one. And, I'm not sure, because there are bikes, like, it's just a Walmart. The original one was just a Walmart bike. So, I know it might not be mine, but it looked really similar. And you might be telling me, Jack, why don't you invest in a bike lock? I did. So the first one I had it was like a wired bike lock. I understood it's not, that one wasn't like the highest quality bike lock, right? So that one, they still it looked like they ripped it. There wasn't like a clean cut. It still seemed like they applied sheer force, which still should not have been possible. And they ended up breaking that one and stealing the bike. And yeah, you know, I learned my lesson, and so the next time I got a bike, I invested in an even more expensive metal bike lock, and again, somehow, just dismantled it. Here's another cutscene. I really just love the art in this game. Okay, we finally unlocked probably the first or second best item in the game. I personally prefer Brimstone, but Mom's Knife is also super good. Thank you guys for sticking with me through this video, if you have. Hopefully you enjoyed. A little bit of a longer one. It's going to start happening more when I start like actually winning runs. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions about Isaac, I'd love to answer them. Love talking to you guys. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to start trying out some other games. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Just going to beat that dead horse just like everybody else does, and I will talk to you guys later.